This presentation will be made to inform employees of the dangers of fires and how to take preventative measures against them. In our presentation, you will learn about how fires start, a few key terms, fire preventive materials and systems, personal protective equipment, egress, action plans, and new technology in fire prevention. Here are some facts to help understand why fire safety is important. According to National Safety Council fires, losses in workplace fires in 1991 totaled to about $2.1 billion. Most notable accident was the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory in New York City in 1911, in which almost 150 women died because of locked fire exits and subpar fire extinguishing systems. When OSHA conducts workplace inspections, they check to see if the employers comply with OSHA standards for fire safety. The standards require employers to have proper exits, firefighting equipment, and employee training to prevent fire deaths and injuries in the workplace. How do fires start in the workplace? Here are 5 common causes. Faulty equipment. Defective electric things such as loose wires are very dangerous in a workplace. Faulty equipment that can overheat and cause sparks are common causes of fires in a workplace. Regularly scheduled maintenance should be a priority. A common fire risk in a workplace is clutter. If the workplace is untidy and cluttered, then the buildup of dust and grease can be a fire risk. Poorly ventilated areas are the most dangerous. Also, the dirt and dust can build up on our machinery and equipment and cause them to overheat. Regular inspections and cleaning should help limit these risks. Combustibles on site. Items such as paper, wood, and cardboard are highly combustible and dangerous in a workplace. These items usually accumulate in a workplace, so you know how to dispose of them properly on a regular basis. Because human error is such a common factor in the causes of fires, employees need to have proper training and be attentive to the equipment they use to ensure safety for all. Hazards and basic fire safety training are a must. Arson also makes up many fires in a workplace or company. Deterrents such as CCTV or motion sensor lighting should be installed. Sprinklers should be regularly maintained to ensure safety just in case the arsonist is still able to attack. Here we will be talking about personal protective equipment. There are 6 main body parts to be protected: your eyes, your face, your head, your feet, your hands, and your ears. Your eyes should be protected by safety glasses and/or safety goggles. Your face should be protected by a face shield. It also is not required, but it is required to have in special occasions. Your head should be protected by a hard hat with a non-outdated inspection sticker. Your feet should be protected by your steel-toed boots. Your hands should be protected by gloves. And your ears should be protected by earmuffs and/or earplugs. Here are some more things to know about PPE. Fire retardant or arc-related clothing is not required by OSHA for every industry, but for the most part is for industries dealing with fire or electrical hazards. A face shield is only required when around potentially flying or burning materials, mainly used when sawing, cutting, burning, welding, or drilling. FR or arc-related clothing includes pants, shirts, or overalls, often called jumpsuits. There are 2 different types of FRs. Flame resistant covers the underclothing and naturally extinguishes or burns off completely. Flame retardant does not require underclothing because the materials have been chemically treated to naturally extinguish but not burn off the material completely. Here are a few fire preventive materials: non-smoking signs in potential fire hazardous areas, fireproofing insulation, fire-resistant building materials such as bricks, glass, steel framing, and concrete, fire alarm devices, and employee training, which could include the usage of a fire extinguisher, which is the PASS method: pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep, proper storage of flammable liquids, which allow for the approved location, labeling, and bottling, valve protection on flammable gases, caps on all flammable liquids when not in use, and grounding electrical outlets and providing a sign indicating a high voltage area. Here are a few of examples for preventative systems. OSHA requires all industry buildings to provide fire extinguishers per certain number of square feet and/or if the building is more than one floor. Fire alarms are to be installed and regularly inspected and serviced. Local fire departments to do annual building checking to adhere to fire regulations and NFPA standards. Perform fire drills. This keeps personnel up to date on the operation of fire protection systems. Implement a designated safety lead to provide monthly awareness of safety. Make a list of all fire hazards in the workplace. Record the proper handling and storage procedures for all hazardous materials in the workplace. Develop and record procedures to control flammable and combustible waste materials. List potential ignition sources and their means of control. Record the types of fire protection equipment needed to control all fire hazards. List the names or job titles of all personnel who are responsible for controlling fuel resource hazards. List the names or titles of all personnel who are responsible for preventing or controlling sources of ignition or fires through regular equipment maintenance. Remove excess paper and water sources near outlets. Maintain all cords and outlets are in great condition. Provide several exit strategies should a fire ever occur, and a sprinkler system for water supply in case of a fire. What is the importance of personal protective equipment, or PPE? Personal protective equipment was implemented in the workforce to increase the protection for employees or workers against health or safety risks on the job. PPE was and still is pushed in the workplace. It is to reduce employee exposure to hazards when engineering and admin controls are not feasible or effective enough. Without PPE, employees could have numerous injuries and/or deaths occur on the job. PPE also is not just for refineries, factories, construction, or pipelines. It is also for the health field as well. Here are a few key terms in egress. Means of egress: a continuous and unobstructed plan of exit comprised of the path to and from the exit, access and discharge respectively, as well as the exit itself. Exit access: the portion of the means of egress which leads to an entrance or exit. Exit: portion of a means of egress separated from all other spaces to provide a protected way of travel to exit discharge. Low hazard content: these contents are those with low combustibility, that no self-propagating fire can occur, and that the only probable fire requiring the use of emergency exit will be from panic, fumes, Smoke or fire from external sources. Ordinary hazard content. These contents are liable to burn with moderate rapidability. They give off considerable smoke but do not produce poisonous fumes or explosions. High hazard content. These are liable to burn with extreme rapidity. They produce poisonous fumes and/or explosions are feared in the event of fire to or with the contents. Here are the guidelines for exit routes. Proper means of egress require inspection, testing, and maintenance. Keep the following guidelines in mind when instituting a means of egress for your structure. Fire alarms are required if a fire could start without providing adequate warning to occupants. There must be enough exit in the proper arrangement for quick escape. Adequate and reliable illumination must be provided for all exit facilities. Minimum escape route width is 28 inches. The minimum ceiling height is 7.5 feet. No furnishings, decorations, or other objects shall be placed as to obstruct exits, including access to, egress from, or their visibility. Extending on to exit routes. By OSHA's CFR 1910.33 through 1910.39, it states adequate and proper exit routes ensure the safety of employees by preventing injuries and deaths from fires. Key concepts relating to exits and exit routes are as followed. Exit routes. A continuous unobstructed path that leads from any location in the workplace to a place of safety. Exit routes have three components: exit access, exit, and exit discharge. Exit access is any portion of an exit route that leads to an exit. Exit. Any part of the exit route that provides a means of access to the exit discharge. Exit discharge. Any part of the exit route that leads directly outside of the building or to an open space that has access to the outside. An exit discharge may lead to a stairway, street, sidewalk, public way, or designated refuge area, but it must lead outside the building. Here are OSHA's 4 exit requirements. Required number of exit routes. Under normal conditions, 2 exit routes are required. However, more are required if the number of employees, size of the building, or arrangements of the workplace will not allow employees to exit safely. Examples of design requirements. Exit routes must be permanent places of the building and must support the maximum permitted occupancy load for each floor. Ceilings of the exit routes must be no less than 7 feet to 6 inches in height, and doors must be unlocked from the inside. Examples of the operational requirements. Exit routes must be kept free from explosive or highly flammable furnishings and unobstructed by materials, equipment, locked doors, or dead-end corridors. They must be properly lightened for people of normal vision and equipped with exit signs in plainly legible letters. Examples of exit requirements are exits to be separated by fire-resistant materials and should have only those openings that are necessary to allow access to the exit from occupied areas or the exit discharge. React. Remove persons in immediate danger. Ensure doors are closed to confine fire and/or smoke. Activate the building alarm. Call the fire department. Treat all fires as dangerous. Continue a complete building evacuation. Do not attempt to fight a fire unless you are trained in use of a fire extinguisher. Evacuation. Primary and secondary evacuation routes should be established, and all employees should be drilled to use either route. Exits should be clearly marked and all signs lit and unobstructed. Must be able to open from the inside at all times without keys, tools, or special knowledge. Device such as panic bar that locks only from the outside is permitted. Must be free of any device or alarm that could restrict emergency use if the device or alarm fails. May be locked from the inside only in mental, penal, or correctional facilities where there is constant supervision. Here is what consists of an emergency action plan. Procedures for reporting a fire or other emergency. Procedures for emergency evacuation, including type of evacuation and exit route assignments. Procedures to be followed by employees who remain to operate critical plant operations before they evacuate. Procedures to account for all employees after evacuation. Procedures to be followed by employees performing rescue or medical duties. The name or job title of every employee who may be contacted by employees who need more information about the plan or the explanation of their duties under the plan. Includes floor plans or maps which show emergency escape routes. Tells employees what actions to take in emergency situations. Covers reasonably expected emergencies such as fires, explosions, toxic chemical releases, hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, and floods. The fire triangle identifies the three components of any fire: fuel, paper, wood, flammable gas, energized electrical equipment, etc. Energy, heat, sufficient to support combustion, often referred to as the ignition source. Oxidizer, air. In order to stop a fire, one of these three have to be missing. Therefore, prevention is based on eliminating one of the components of the fire triangle. Organizations are required by OSHA in 29 CFR 1910 Section 150C to have on hand the proper number of portable fire extinguishers of the right type and in the right locations. An example of a Class A fire extinguisher has contents of water, foam, and dry chemical. They are used for ordinary combustibles such as wood and paper. Class B fire extinguishers do not include water, but they do include foam, which is a special type of foam required for alcohol type free fire, and they also include dry chemical, carbon dioxide, and halogen. These fire extinguishers are used for flammable liquids. Class C fire extinguishers do not contain water, do not contain foam, but contain dry chemical, carbon dioxide, and halon. These fire extinguishers are used for flammable gases. Class D fire extinguishers do not contain water, foam, dry chemical, or carbon dioxide, and neither halon. These use special purpose fire extinguishers only. These are for combustible metals. For a Class E fire, it does not contain water, foam, but contains dry chemical, carbon dioxide, and halon. These are for fires involving live electrical equipment. Here is a breakdown of the classes of fires. Fires are classified in relations to the fuels. For example, Class A fires involve solid fuels, such as it will put out fires in ordinary combustibles, such as wood and paper. The numerical rating for this class of fire extinguisher refers to the amount of water the fire extinguisher holds and the amount of fire it will extinguish. Class B involves flammable liquids and gases. For Class B, it should be used on fires involving liquids such as grease, gas, oil, etc. The numerical rating for this class of fire extinguishers states the approximate number of square feet of a flammable liquid fire that a non-expert person can be expected to extinguish. Class C involves live electrical. These are suitable for use on electrical energized fires. This class of fire extinguisher does not have a numerical rating. The presence of the letter C indicates that the extinguishing agent is non-conductive. Class D involves combustible metals. This requires special extinguishers. They are designed for the use of flammable metals and are often specific for the type of metal in question. There is no picture designated for Class D extinguishers. These extinguishers generally have no rating, nor they are not given a multi-purpose rating for use on other types of fire. Multi-class ratings may have extinguishers available today. They can be used on different types of fires and will be labeled with more than one designator, which, for example, AB, BC, or ABC, to make sure you have the multi-purpose extinguisher is properly labeled. Almost all industrial materials are flammable. These classes correlate to different types of fire extinguishers. Fire brigade regulations are covered in 29 CFR 1910, Section 156. Relevant requirements for the regulations are as followed. Scope. Employers are not required to form a fire brigade. However, if an employer does decide to organize a fire brigade, the requirements of this section apply. Fire planning, organizational statement, physical capability, training and education, firefighting equipment, protective clothing, and also respiratory protective devices. Fun facts and key terms. Radiation is electromagnetic wave heat transfer through air in a straight line to surrounding solids. A red, blue, yellow, and white diamond label is used to identify hazard present when a substance burns. What is a fire? What is ignition and temperatures? What chemicals are related to fires? What are the different fuels and burns? A fire or combustion is a chemical reaction between an oxygen and combustible fuel. The reaction only starts if there is a source of ignition. The source can include a spark from a grinder, an open flame from a torch, or a high temperature that allows a substance to reach its ignition point or combustion point. Although it is rare, it is possible for a fire to start without a source of ignition. This is also known as spontaneous combustion. Spontaneous combustion occurs when organic compounds degrade, produce heat, and ignite. Another form of fire is explosion. An explosion is a fast and contained fire. This usually occurs when the gases that are produced from a fire are in a confined place, building enough pressure for the confined place to rupture or explode. Many examples include a firecracker, a bomb, and a pressurized can of spray paint.
There are three main reasons for the fire, like fuel, oxygen, and source of ignition. By removing any one from the fuel and oxygen, we can stop the fire. Fire is categorized in 4 parts: Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class D. Class A, solid fire. Fire due to woods, clothes, rubber, and paper. Class B, fire due to flammable liquid. Class C, fire due to flammable gas, like fire due to LPG. Class D, metal fire. Shut down the power when there is fire due to electricity. Then find out the category of fire, A, B, C, or D, and extinguish accordingly. Method to operate fire cylinder. Pull the safety pin of the cylinder. Face the head of hose of the cylinder towards the base of the flame. Press the hand lever. Keep on moving the hose left and then right on the surface of the fire until fire is extinguished. Call emergency immediately if fire is beyond your control. Special precaution to be kept in view during firefighting. Don't use water for extinguishing fire on electrical equipment. It may give electric shock. While using CO2 cylinders, cylinder and hose become very cold, which may cause cold burn. Therefore, use it without touching metallic parts with hands. Hold hose also at the right places. If you don't know firefighting, seek help immediately. Friends, now you have knowledge firefighting. If you have any questions, please contact your supervisor.
The classes of extinguisher that you need to know are A, B, C, D, and K. Class A fire extinguishers are for ordinary combustibles, things like wood, paper, and cardboard. Class B fire extinguishers are for flammable liquids like diesel, oil, and gas. Class C fire extinguishers are for energized electrical equipment. Class D fire extinguishers are for combustible metals. Those are things like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Class K fire extinguishers are easy to remember. Think of the K as standing for kitchen. They're designed to put out fires in things like deep fryers. Now, one thing to know about fire extinguishers is some are specific to just one type of fuel. For example, it may be simply a type A extinguisher or type K, but most can extinguish more than one type of fuel. This is an ABC fire extinguisher. This is actually the most common out there. How it works is it uses a dry powder to smother the fire.